Jilly Cooper OBE is an English author. She began her career as a journalist and wrote numerous works of non-fiction before writing several romance novels, the first of which appeared in 1975. She is most famous for writing the Rutshire Chronicles. Early life. Jilly Salet was born in Hornchurch, Essex, England, to Mary Elaine and Brigadier W.B. Salet, OBE. She grew up in Ilkley in Surrey, and was educated at the Moorfield School in Ilkley and the Godolphin School in Salisbury. Journalism and non-fiction. After unsuccessfully trying to start a career in the British National Press, Cooper became a junior reporter for the Middlesex Independent, based in Brentford. She worked for the paper from 1957 to 1959. Subsequently, she worked as an account executive, copywriter, publisher's reader and receptionist. Her break came with a chance meeting at a dinner party. The editor of the Sunday Times magazine asked her to write a feature about her experiences. This led to a column in which Cooper wrote about marriage, sex and housework. That column ran from 1969 to 1982, when she moved to the Mail on Sunday, where she worked for another 5 years. Cooper's first column led to the publication of her first book, How to Stay Married, in 1969, and which was quickly followed by a guide to working life, How to Survive from 9 to 5, in 1970. Some of her journalism was collected into a single volume, Jilly Cooper, in 1971. The theme of class dominates much of her writing and her non-fiction, which is written from an explicitly upper-middle-class British perspective, with emphasis on the relationships between men and women, and matters of social class in contemporary Britain. She was in favor of the Iraq War. Fiction. As with her non-fiction works, Cooper draws heavily on her own point of view and experiences. For example, her own house is the model for Rupert Campbell Black's. Both are very old. Her house overlooks a valley called Toad's Moor. His overlooks a valley called the Frog's Moor. She also draws on her love of animals. Dogs and horses feature heavily in her books. Woods, hills, fields, pastures and rivers feature frequently. Emily. In 1975, Cooper published her first work of romantic fiction, Emily. It was based on a short story she wrote for a teenage magazine, as were the subsequent romances, all titled with female names: Bella, Imogen, Prudence, Harriet and Octavia. Octavia is one of Cooper's name books, which each bear a female character's name and has been made into a television adaptation. It is set in Britain during the 1970s. The broadcast ITV adaptation was produced with a screenplay which was written by Jonathan Harvey. One character was modelled on George Humphreys, a Welshman with whom Cooper had an affair in the late 1950s. The Times noted that Cooper avoids the traditional romantic convention in which the heroine remains a virgin until the last page. Elizabeth Gray found the jokes annoying but still funny, and confessed to falling in love with the character of Octavia. An excerpt was included in the Dirty Bits for Girls, a collection of favorite dirty bits from novels Knight read as a teenager. Plot summary. Octavia Brennan is a beautiful yet flawed young woman, living the high life in 1970s London. Though she is deeply flirtatious and has, by her own admission, slept with many men, she has never found happiness with any of them. After bumping into an old school friend, Gussie, and falling for her fiancé, Jeremy, Octavia is invited to spend the weekend with them on their canal boat. Characteristically, she convinces herself that Jeremy cannot possibly have real affection for the overweight and clumsy Gussie, and she is determined to win Jeremy by the end of the weekend. But when Jeremy invites Welsh firebrand Gareth Llewellyn along for the ride, Octavia finds her plans disrupted in more ways than one. TV production. Production began on the 17th of September 2007 in London. Jilly Cooper was invited to make a cameo appearance as a guest at a party. Its broadcast was delayed according to a Broadcast Now article in early 2009 as a consequence of the recession. ITV put many of their dramas on ice, postponing single dramas until later that year. The Guardian reported that Octavia had no transmission slots for 2009 and noted that for accountancy purposes its cost was not counted until the show was broadcast. The cast was Tamsin Edgerton as Octavia Brennan, Patrick Bellardi as Jeremy West, Richard Coyle as Gareth Llewellyn, Tom McKay as Zonda Brennan, Alice Glover as Lorna Hamilton, Joel Fry as Charlie Mancini, Riders and the Rutshire Chronicles. However, Cooper's best-known works are her long novels. The first of these was Riders, an international bestseller, and the first volume of Rutshire Chronicles. The first version of Riders was written by 1970, but shortly after Cooper had finished it, she took it with her into the West End of London and left the manuscript on a bus. The London Evening Standard put out an appeal, but it was never found. She was, she says, devastated, and it took her more than a decade to start it again. Riders and the following books are characterized by intricate plots, featuring multiple storylines and a large number of characters. Although the books do not always follow each other sequentially, Rivals and Polo chronologically overlap. For example, they are linked by recurring characters, and later books make reference to events of previous books. The stories heavily feature adultery, infidelity, and general betrayal, melodramatic misunderstandings and emotions, money worries and domestic upheavals. Each book of the Rutshire Chronicles is set in a milieu that can be considered glamorous and wealthy, such as show-jumping or classical music. These aspects are contrasted with details of the characters' domestic lives, which are often far from glamorous. Pandora. Her novel Pandora is not one of the Rutshire Chronicles, but does feature a few characters from the series, and is very similar in style and content. Wicked follows the same approach, including characters from previous novels and introducing new characters who are relatives, friends or rivals of existing characters. It is set in the fictional county of Berkshire, which borders her other fictional county, Rutshire. Jump. Her novel Jump was released in 2010. It features characters from Rutshire Chronicles in the world of jump racing and tells the transformation of a mutilated horse into a successful racehorse. Since publishing, Jilly Cooper caused controversy around the naming of a go-to-hit back-hitter critic and acclaimed Dr. Melanie Bottle for equine, veterinary knowledge, children's books. Cooper also wrote a series of children's books featuring the heroine Little Mabel. Personal life. In 1961, Jilly married Leo Cooper, a publisher of military history books. The couple had known each other since 1945, although they did not marry until she was 24 and he was 27. The couple were unable to have children naturally, so adopted two children, Emily and Felix. They also have four children, Yargard, Lysander, Asa and Scarlet, as well as a rescued cat, Feral, and a rescued greyhound, Feather. Leo Cooper was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2002. In October 2010, Jilly Cooper suffered a minor stroke. Her husband died on the 29th of November 2013. In the 1980s, the couple left Putney, London for the Chantry, an old manor house in Gloucestershire. Cooper is a supporter of the British Conservative Party. She was a passenger in one of the derailed carriages in the Ladbroke Grove rail crash of 1999. She had to crawl through a window to escape. She later spoke of feeling that her number was up, and of being absurdly concerned due to a shock about a manuscript she had been carrying. Awards and honors. Cooper was awarded an OBE for services to literature in the Queen's Birthday Honours List in 2004. On the 13th of November 2009, she was awarded an honorary doctorate of letters by the University of Gloucestershire at a ceremony in Gloucester Cathedral. List of works. Non-fiction: How to Stay Married, How to Survive from 9 to 5, Jolly Super, Men and Supermen, Jolly Super 2, Women and Superwomen, Jolly Superlative, Superman and Superwomen, Work in Wedlock, Super Jilly, The British in Love, Class, A View from Middle England, Super Cooper, Violets and Vinegar, an anthology of women's writings and sayings, Intelligent and Loyal, Jolly Marsupial, Animals in War, The Common Years, On Rugby, On Cricket, Hotfoot to Zabriskie Point, Horse Mania, How to Survive Christmas, Turn Right at the Spotted Dog, Angels Rush In, Fiction: Emily, Bella, Harriet, Octavia, Imogen, Prudence, Lisa and Co. Little Mabel series, Little Mabel, Little Mabel's Great Escape, Little Mabel Wins, Little Mabel Saves the Day, The Rutshire Chronicles, Riders, Rivals, Polo, The Man Who Made Husbands Jealous, Appassionata, Score, Pandora, Wicked, Jump, Mount. Film, TV, or theatrical adaptations. In 1971, Cooper created the comedy series It's Awfully Bad for Your Wise Darling, which featured Joanna Lumley, and ran for one series. Television adaptations of Cooper's novels are relatively few but have been accepted by national network ITV. Octavia had its first UK screening in 2009, with Tamsin Egerton taking the title role. Other productions include the TV miniseries The Man Who Made Husbands Jealous, starring Hugh Bonneville, produced by Sarah Lawson, and Riders.